All right, so let's talk about criteria and selection process. And we're going to talk about why I'm not in a trade for SXP yet, but why I'm interested in longing it soon. So, there's a lot of reasons why people go into a trade or don't go into a trade. And in my opinion, timing is one of the most important things when it comes to trading. Just because we see certain price action or certain criteria that will give us confluent reasons to enter a trade doesn't mean that we actually catch them. Sometimes just a few minutes could kill that confidence, and those small few percentage changes that you missed might make you miss out on a trade. And right now, I've been paying a lot of attention to SXP. Right now, I'm just reading a few books, and I'm just reading some fundamental news actually, just catching up on a lot of things on places like Cointelegraph, etc. And I'm trying to wait and be extremely patient while calming myself down because the last thing I want to do is make a bad decision out of FOMO, the fear of missing out, which usually translates into a greedy play as well that makes you think you caught the bottom to get the biggest percentage gain. And that's not a good mentality to have, in my opinion, okay? Where those two feelings, fear and greed, they coincide and they're best friends a lot. Okay, so what I personally find is that when it drops to the bottom, the fear of missing out makes people buy, and also the greed as well to wanting to capitalize on the biggest percentage possible gain and catch the bottom. So it's synonymous with each other, in my opinion, when you think of it from a psychological perspective. So I've been really chill lately. Have you guys noticed? Just like calm, not like energy through the roof. It's a good balance of good sleep and just taking all the vitamins I take lately, like um yeah, just vitamin D3 and just multivitamins and the omega 369s. So getting my light therapy, it's kind of nice as well. So during the winters it gets very depressing here since we get sunlight for maybe 4 hours a day on average for 6 months. So trying to keep my mood very level and chill. That's why this year this place is built a little bit different than 3 years ago. It was kind of like a cabin or like a loft. 2 years ago it was kind of like a cabin. This year it's more like a cave, you can say. It's just quiet. That's what I like. So right now, the main reason wanted to get into SXP or why it's on my radar is just by process of elimination on a big time frame. So if we go down the list on the daily, what we're seeing is that SXP is at 22 RSI-ish. Bitcoin is way up there. Wi-Fi is way down there. VET is neutral. ADA neutral. ETH neutral. Link downwards. LTC downwards. BCH down. Wi-Fi, it's really on the low side. This one, EOS is down. NEO is pretty low. OMIZI go neutral. So either Bitcoin's the only one that's really high. All the other ones are somewhere between, we'll say 30 and 60, which is fairly neutral in my personal opinion. But then when we take a look at a coin like SXP, what we see is that it is incredibly low down here. But not only is it low, it is also, the curvature of it makes it a parabolic drop down, which means eventually it's gonna skyrocket and correct, in my opinion, this entire wave. That entire wave of some sorts. Because I personally believe that if this was 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 to make the A, if that was a B up there, then this is going to make another 5 coming down. That means that if this was 1, 2, that means that this must be 3. That will end soon. And 3 is often the sharpest wave. So if you think about it from the perspective of a parabolic move upwards, right? For wave 3, for Elliott wave theory, wave 1 is usually not the sharpest at all. It's like choppy, could even be leading reverse wave diagonals. But wave 3 tends to be the sharpest, right? And that's the one that gives it the parabolic move. Okay, so I'm just going to connect 2 points. It's 1 point, and that's 2 point. And it goes for the reverse as well. So if you're coming to the downside, what you know for a fact is that the third wave, whether it's for the A structure or for the C structure, you're still going to get that same type of parabolic move down. And that's exactly what this coin right here is exemplifying. Okay, we're getting this huge curvature of just screw you up. Okay, so now we look here. We see that we fell down below this particular section here. And this low was at 1 a.m. Okay, or 5 in the morning on the day before Halloween, October the 30th. And what we see right here is that the low was around 785, okay? So 785 was the low, and we actually fell below that like really hard. And then now we had another low that we reached, which was 731. And then now we're at 718 already. So I want to explain to you once again that the reason I wanted to enter this trade, or why it's on my radar, is because in RSI it is so freaking low. Okay, and it's also meeting criteria for longing it based on volume as well for now. I don't know if it's fake or not, I don't care. From what I see right now, it's a very interesting coin to me. And I think it's going to yield some potential, provided we find a decent entry. And usually this is kind of what I specialize in, right? I specialize in V-shaped corrections, basically. Whether it's going upwards parabolically, I'm good at identifying the top, and I'm also equally good at identifying the bottom when it takes a dip like that. But I'm not a breakout player, right? So I know exactly where my skills lie. So that makes sense, right? Why I want to be in a trade, right? So I compared it to all the other RSI. So I asked myself, or you should be asking yourselves as well, and also questioning why you want to go in this trade compared to other trades. It should yield a higher probability of being successful with a combination of profitability as well and safety, right? So probability of it succeeding and profitability, those both of them weigh in. For example, you don't want to go for a trade that has a let's just say a 70% chance to win 2%, right? When maybe there's a trade that has a 50% chance to make 10%. You might weigh it really differently based on because you can't go in every single trade, because let's be realistic, not everyone has an unlimited amount of capital, and also it's difficult to manage more than one trade at a time. Personally, myself, I cannot manage more than nowadays 2 trades at once. Before, I was able to manage 3 during my prime, maybe 2 years ago when I was trading every single day very, very, very heavily for like a year plus. But it took me like a long time to get to that point. Now 2's even pushing it, right? Yeah, so I would have to get up there again, just because I want to, and especially when I'm shedding. If I were to shed again, right, and start to take it on different bounces, that gets extremely hard. So now you know why I want to be in this trade. Okay. Now let us talk about why I don't want to be in it quite yet. And that's important, because over time, I think it's getting to the point where we're always going to want to be in the trade, but sometimes we need to convince ourselves why it's not the right time yet. So you counter argue yourself, and that's important. So I just wanted to get your feedback midway through this video that how do you guys like the content? Because some people have said it's really dry, and I'm doing it on purpose because I don't want to get off topic. I also want to maintain some level of professionalism since this is, of course, paid for by you guys watching this premium video. So I don't want to be my joking normal self because I think that's a little bit unprofessional and amateurish. And that's more like reserved for just the public. So I want to keep it on point. And but you guys know me pretty well. Like I'm chill, but I got like a wild, outrageous sense of humor as well. And for once, I actually want to have that discipline to show the respect that you folks have shown me by maintaining this level of professionalism and just not going off on a tangent, sticking on topics and keeping it really relevant and not talking about my life story, you know, every video or something like that, or saying something that's like emo, stuff like that. So now let's talk about why I don't want to be in this trade yet. First of all, I have to understand the importance or the fact that we are parabolically going down and there's a chance for a V-shaped correction upwards, but there's also a probability or chance of it just going down very hard even more before we make a V-shaped correction. And that has happened in many, many different coins before where we think it's leveling off, but it really doesn't, okay? So, and I'm also, and that's one reason to make me very cautious. Another reason is because I don't see any type of bullishness whatsoever on a higher time frame yet. Okay, sometimes when it parabolically falls down, you still see small signs that hints towards a possible reversal. And some of those things could be immense volume at a specific price point, or it could be on a very low time frame where we'll see bullishly diverging RSI, even on a deep parabolic move down. So I'm waiting right now, very carefully and slowly. So now I'm looking at it, say, from the daily, and I say to myself, well, you know, a few days ago it made a doji, it's pretty good. That one was a good morning star. Let me show you morning star. So this is what I call a morning star. Basically a small little doji right there at the bottom. Okay, just something like that, but don't mind the gap. That's more so in traditional markets like equities, forex, etc. So just giving you guys like a general idea of what a morning star is. Usually comes after a very bearish downtrend, okay, and then you get like a small doji like that usually, and traditionally there's a gap in between from the close and the open of here, but because our crypto markets are 24 hours a day, we're not susceptible to seeing these types of gaps that can happen when the markets are closed in the traditional markets. So we thought that this was going to rally upwards, right? But we also knew, and when I say we, I mean me, I also knew that the RSI, which is at this right here, is still curving downwards, and there was no stability whatsoever yet. Okay, notice that this is just, it's scary. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of do like that, and then this is not finding another top somewhere. It just kind of took a massive dip to the downside in a scary way, right? So here it's just going kind of downwards. This one's going downwards as well. And eventually capitulation just happens where we drop like 30% there. So don't think for a moment it's not possible for us to drop even further. It could happen, okay? And we see that this might be hard to notice for some people, but let me help you just train some good eye technique to catch this, okay? And how I personally read it. The way I read it is this right here was the low. First one is a low. And a support was created. Now, if I had to look at this and this alone by itself, I would simply say to myself that this one here, there must have been a relevant candle that was holding for support. And then these three here, or the next one, I would think that it is slightly going upwards or finding a support. And then we'll be slowly ticking to the upside And if we keep up this momentum, so when this day closed and this one happened, we already had a tick to the upside. So you would assume that there's now momentum going to the upside after stability was found. But today, where we got 6 hours left to go to close, because of this stepping downwards, we know for a fact that since this candle, this daily was forming here, it actually ended up not finding support despite the small support for 3 days there, and it ended up downtrending instead. That's the story that this histogram itself shows. And we take a look at it, and that's kind of exactly what happened. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the last four. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So they're trying to step upwards on the histogram, going upwards, but the bears just ended up smashing the bulls instead, and that's why we ended up getting this huge downtrend, which is also synonymous with this right here, with the tick downwards. Okay? So on the daily, there's absolutely no reason for anybody to even be looking at a long quite yet, if they were looking at it, and that's not financial advice. That's basically me looking at myself in the mirror and telling myself that. And this right here was like just sloppy on a 4 hour. Just super sloppy. Like whenever you see something gradually go to the upside like that, but it only moved a little bit of RSI in a small period of time, or in a long period of time like that, which basically took 6 days, you can just kind of tell that it's going to get short-lived and stopped out in terms of reaching an RSI resistance. Not only that, you take a look at this as well that was formed since October-ish. We're seeing that this is clearly a resistance, or a zone of resistance right around here. So we reached that resistance on the 4 hour for a 53 RSI there. And then look what happened, right? We ended up downtrending right after that in a significant way. So now I'm waiting to see if 5 waves form for here, and you can start to see it kind of forming already, right? It's actually a beautiful thing to see. You can easily see this, right? That there's 5 possible waves that's forming already in here. So I'm gonna try to catch it on the next 5th wave, and I hope it's at 70 cents. We'll have to see. But that's a really strong psychological number because it's in the tens. So then I think that that is going to be my final play. And then if I'm right about all of that, then who knows? That could have been the very last 5th wave that finished there. Then this could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 coming to the downside. And if that is the 5th wave, then yeah. If that's even it. Or sorry, if that's not it, then this could have been just, that's the B. And yeah, that's the C coming down there to make the 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5, maybe. But the 5th is so small, so I wonder if it's proportional. So right now, as it stands on the 4 hour, I don't even see any type of, really, I see like higher lows there as well. But I'm not seeing like this immense volume that's going to get me interested in it yet. The 4 hour keeps getting lower lows than the RSI as well. Despite it getting higher lows than previous points, it's still not the best gauge in my opinion. I am not getting any type of price action that's showing me stability or support. Here, I'm more so seeing it gear up for another drop to the downside. Whenever you see something like this, guys, like that, and then this section, please don't ever think it's going to go up. It will rarely do this. That, and then that, okay? Then it conforms in this type of pattern, and then all of a sudden you think it's gonna just break outwards. Like this doesn't really happen where it comes down, it goes like that, right? And then it just goes upwards. So think of it like that. This one here, this section there, it wasn't really likely for it to break up when you think of just how the figure is. It's an ugly formation, and that shit doesn't happen. This is more like a bearish flag, and whenever you see something like this, always assume it's going to break down, because the majority of times, it does break down more. We're talking about this type of pattern where we get a big drop, and then it just forms in a really ugly way. It's very, very bearish to me. Look at this, okay? Here's another. Like, you might go up a little bit, but overall, They're just bearish structures. And there's no different than the bullish ones where you get a bullish flag after you don't get that big uptrend. So I just wanted to talk to you guys today about kind of my criteria for entering. And right now, I see a lot of reasons to keep an eye on SXP, but I also see a lot of reasons to not go into it yet as well, because it doesn't fit any of my criteria to actually enter. It only meets my criteria to be very interested in it, to have a watch list that builds, and it's not like it's my priority, but it's definitely up there. It's kind of like just having options, right? So you want to follow up with 3 to 5 coins or something like that, and then they all might yield some opportunity, and they all have caught your attention, but maybe only 1 or 2 of them will come to fruition where you'll actually go into a trade that's worthwhile, right? That has a lot of confluent reasons to make you want to take the risk. And who knows, maybe SXP will just go sideways and it'll never actually even spike up. Maybe it'll go sideways and the RSIs will auto correct like slowly and rise back to neutrality. And but other than that, I still want to keep it on my radar, because if something does happen, I'd rather be following it already than having a rush and catch up with what's going on with this coin. So those are my reasons for being interested in SXP, and these are also my reasons for holding off on SXP, because there's a lot of information out there still, and I want to make sure that we do this right. And also something I wanted to mention was this right here. If I were to go to like a 2-hour time frame right now, and I just draw some of my resistances and supports like that, this is certainly making a channel. And because this is certainly making a channel, I cannot help but think to myself that we're going to hit even lower regions down to over here, possibly like around 65 ranges. If that happens, then you can be certain that we're going to get much bigger drops coming to the downside here. And that's very, 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 very possible. So that's why I heed of caution always, and that just makes it look like it's possible there. If that does happen, expect 63 to 65 cent ranges, and we'll go from there. So right now, I'm not interested in this coin in terms of longing it yet. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a lesson video about what goes through my head, and hopefully that can help you guys understand as well, or just come up with ideas, or basically have reason to enter a trade or not enter a trade. I don't know why I made this video, to be quite honest. I think I just blabbed the majority of the video, but I hope that it has helped out some. And I think we have this battle with ourselves every day where we just pull the trigger, right? Am I going to go into this trade? Am I not going to go into this trade? Why should I go into it? Why should I wait to go into it, right? Is it a better trade to take than other trades as well? So there's a lot of questions that we can come up with. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's not always going to be like, buy this coin, Bitcoin technical analysis. Sometimes it's going to be like, okay, kiddos, it's lesson time. Let's gather around the round table. So enjoy. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll be seeing more of you, whether you like it or not. Bye.